So, dear explorers, welcome once again to Efecto Cascada. This is a podcast where we dive into the forefront of innovation, share insights from entrepreneurs, and uncover cascade funding opportunities. As you all know, in each episode we explore the latest trends into the digital stream, the arts, and as well audiovisual sector, perhaps video games. Well, but I won't spoil what's coming next. This time, streaming from SLUSH 2024 in Helsinki, Finland. This is just awesome, let me tell you. Thank you, big shout out to Esploro for giving me this opportunity, coming all the way from Pamplona to Finland, and well, be able to just interview awesome guests. So in this special episode, we're spotlighting the fascinating intersection between video games, storytelling, and immersive media. So we brought together a powerhouse lineup of special guests who are trailblazing in this space. So stay with me so you won't miss any details. You ready? Let's go. All right, Splutter. So welcome once again to Efecto Cascada. Today we're here in SLUSH Helsinki 2024 edition. And well, it's a pleasure to be here with Holly Hudson. So hi, Holly.
Hi,
how are
thank
you?
you for having me.
Thank you for taking your time to be with us. So Holly, she's the co-director of Studio Morgan and a talented freelance 3D and environmental artist. So Holly's journey into the world of gaming is truly inspired because she just made her way from a master's in games design and development and has recently co-founded her own studio. All right, so please tell us a bit about yourself, Holly.
Yeah, so thank you for the introduction. That was lovely. Yes, I am now co-founding a studio, which is really exciting. I didn't really expect to be in this position already, but it just felt like such a natural step going from doing a bachelor's in 3D animation and games to doing the master's and then having our own studio. So yeah.
So could you share what inspired you to focus on the gaming industry coming from filming?
Yeah, I didn't really know that I wanted to get into games. I didn't play that many games. And people would always ask me, like, why are you here? Why are you doing this if you don't play games? And it was just, I hadn't realised that it was the way that I could tell stories through environments and composition. So I started in traditional 2D art and found a way to storytell in 3D worlds, which was really interesting to me. And then I sort of fell into the gaming world from that.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a different perspective to come
Absolutely.
from another world, right?
Yeah.
Right. And well, you've recently graduated from the National Film and Television School. Could you tell us some of your biggest takeaways that you got from?
Yeah, definitely. I think the collaborative aspect to working with people in the film industry as well. So we work with screenwriters, composers, sound designers, all of whom were studying on the film courses. And so I think that's really interesting is working with people on games that don't work in games. So that brings a whole new side, new perspective to it.
Yeah.
And also leadership as well. Like we receive leadership coaching, which I didn't think I wanted to go into, but now I actually found out I really enjoy. So it's great.
That's great. And by the way, let me ask you, how old are you? You're very young.
I turned 25 a couple of days ago. Yeah.
Happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you.
You're Scorpio.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, no, because I mean you're very young, obviously, for taking this step, but it's very inspiring for me and our audience as well. All right, and after graduated, you co-founded Studio Morgan with Harvey Heyman. So let me ask you, how did this partnership happen, and what inspired you?
Yeah.
Right?
So we met at the National Film and Television School. We were on the same course. There were 7 of us. And so sometimes we would work together. On our final year project, Harvey and I worked together making our first game, Morgan Metal Detective. And we had to showcase at EGX as part of the course to graduate. And we realised we actually had a game that we could release commercially. So we then decided, okay, we've got this. We like working together. We work really well. So let's start the company and get our first game shipped.
Yeah, and what
how
is
we're
it?
here.
And what is it all about? Like Studio Morgan.
So Studio Morgan is really about creating cozy, narrative-driven games. So our first game, Morgan Metal Detective, which is releasing in January 2025.
They were
It's about metal detecting in the Cornish countryside on this beautiful fictional island.
Right.
So you play as Morgan, a 14-year-old girl, as she finds lost treasure that's buried underground, and you reunite it with people that have lost it and uncover mysteries along the way.
Oh, nice. So yeah, I can see it's your typical cozy game to play while having your
Absolutely.
chimney on.
Yes.
So on.
Yeah. I love cozy games. Like I didn't play
Yeah.
many, but until I found Animal Crossing and Stardew Valley, I was like, this is what I want to play.
Okay, so do you think it's the genre that you want to follow on
I
later
think
games?
so. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Harvey and I share very similar values about creating heartfelt games, and hopefully we can just continue to do that in this cozy genre.
And how come you found inspiration for the landscapes that you're showing?
Yeah, I've been on lots of family holidays to Cornwall. It's a really, really beautiful part of the UK. And Harvey has also been on family holidays there before. So it was sort of like a childhood wrapped up in this island. And we really just wanted to showcase it and show people Cornwall.
Beautiful. By the way, this game is going to be available for which? Is it for Nintendo or for which devices?
Yeah, it's coming out on PC, Nintendo Switch, PS4, PS5, Xbox, so everything.
So make sure to follow if you want to share
Yes,
which
yeah.
social
So
media you have.
our Steam page is up. Please give us a wish list, and it's at Morgan Metal Game on all socials.
Perfect. All right, and Holly, what key challenges have you faced in developing your first ever game? Share
So
some?
being a small indie studio means we have very little funding. So that's been really hard. We were lucky to sign with a porting publisher. So he's doing all the porting for us, which is fantastic. So invaluable in the process. But working for very little money. So Harvey and I both freelance on the side so that we can pay our rent.
Oh, God.
But hopefully our aim is to find some funding so that we can continue to make the games and grow and hire people, which would be amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That was my next question. Have you tried already to secure some funding or besides, having a side job?
Yeah, we did try for Morgan, the first game, but we were so far through the development process that it didn't really stick with publishers. But
Right.
we're now in the beginning stages of getting funding for the next projects.
So good luck for that.
Thank you.
Make sure to check out Cascade Funding Hub.
I will,
Maybe you
absolutely,
can find
yes.
your opportunity there. All right. So on the game, Morgan, Metal Detective, do you think it's gonna stand out from other indie games? Like in what aspects?
I think obviously there's a lot of cozy games out there, but what really sets us apart is having a female protagonist doing metal detecting. It's quite a niche thing, and having that female representation in there is just so important. I've done metal detecting in real life and it's so fun. So I'm just really excited for other girls and people to play it and love it and enjoy it as much as I do.
Yeah, definitely. Because as a player, when I used to play these Nintendo games
Yeah.
as well, I remember all these detective-like games were always represented by like a man, right, figure. So that's great. All right, and onto the evolution of game design. Someone who specializes in 3D, and you also are an environmental artist. How do you see the evolution of game graphics on the next, let's say, 5 years?
Yeah, it's interesting. We've seen quite a big surge in stylization, which I absolutely love. So taking that step away from achieving photorealism and trying out new visual styles, which are so exciting. And there's so many different styles we can do, like taking from 2D work and translating that into 3D. There's so many exciting opportunities there.
And do you think someday you could bring it onto the VR and AR world?
I hope so. Yeah, we do. We'd really like to bring Morgan to VR as well. Like we think that would work really well as an actual action. So yeah, we're hoping we can translate that into VR.
Yeah, but I'm sure it's going to be a great hit.
Yeah.
So good luck on that. Okay, do you have any advice for any aspiring game designers that would like to make their way in their industry?
Yeah, I think it's really important to find, sounds really cheesy, but like finding your own style within what you're creating. Like it's very easy to just go along and create maybe stereotypical games or something you expect to see on the game store. But having your own personality in there makes it stand out so much more. Like finding your style and then being able to implement that into all the work you make makes you stand out, especially if you're applying for jobs. It just makes you stand out against all of the other candidates.
Honestly, that's a great advice for any field because,
Yeah,
as you said,
absolutely. Yeah.
job seeking it's can be very stressful and when especially when you are just graduated, you're like,
Yes.
what's this world? They never told me this. But yeah, following your inner passion and your
Exactly.
unique stamp can be great, right? Okay, so we've reached the last section of
Okay.
the episode, and now you're gonna have to, if you want, share a fun fact with us.
Yes. Fun fact.
Anything, your
I
personal
really
your-
like to crochet, and I crochet my own clothes and stuff. So yeah, I just think that's fun.
Do you have any beers here?
No, I don't. I have my scarf, but it's in the cloak group.
You can send me a picture. I
I
can
will. Yes.
quickly add it there. Right, and if you'd like, you could share as well a piece of advice for our audience in any sort of field.
Yeah, I would go back to that. Just inserting yourself into your work, having your sense of self in there is so important. But also being open to collaboration as well, because you can find collaboration in the strangest parts you wouldn't even think about, and you can come up with some really, really amazing game ideas.
Yes, don't be afraid, right, to get out there and network
Exactly.
a bit because you never know. Maybe your unique idea can succeed if you find the right
Yes, it'll be the
partner.
next big seller. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So now to the question from the previous guest. So this was Chen Ku, and she asks, "Do you think your company will be the next unicorn, and why?"
I don't know. Yes. Did you say unicorn? Yeah. I was like,
Unicorn.
Unicorn.
Yeah, yeah. Literally, she sent an emoji. Unicorn.
amazing. Love that.
It's a great reference.
Yeah, that's a really cute way of looking at it. Yeah, I think everyone should aim to be the next unicorn. You want to create new things that are never seen before. I think that's a really really cute way of looking at it. So yes, is
Yes,
my answer.
always yes, always yes. All right. So, what's your question for the next guest, Holly?
I would like to ask the next person if there's anything they do, like a habit or something that keeps them motivated and keeps them working. Just because I work from home, so sometimes I struggle to
Do you?
keep that focus. So I'm
Yeah.
just interested.
By the way, how is it working from home for you?
I do find it difficult to stick to a routine and motivate myself every day. But then being able to work on things that I really enjoy really, really helps with that. And also getting out for walks.
I'm sorry. What?
Getting out for walks as well.
That's good.
That
yeah.
helps. Yeah.
You need to stick out of the chair and
Yes.
take a
Yeah,
walk.
get some sun.
Yeah, that's great. So thank you very much,
Thank you
Holly,
so
for taking your
much.
time, sharing all your experience and great projects with us. We hope that I'm sure it's going to be a great success. But please, followers, just give it a follow as well and check out and make sure to get your next cozy game. So thank you, explorers.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, explorers, so welcome once again to Efecto Cascada. Today I'm joined here by Dave Minogue. Hello, Dave. How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
We're here in SLUSH Helsinki 2024. And well, it's great to have a guest like him here. Well, Dave, he's the co-founder of Adventurverse Studios, a pioneering company at the forefront of immersive media, real-time animation and transmedia storytelling. So Adventurverse is currently building Chimera, a platform that uses cutting-edge XR technology. Without further ado, let's get started. So how are you, Dave? Could you introduce yourself to our audience and maybe share a bit about your background?
Yeah, I'm Dave Minogue. I'm the co-founder of Adventurverse Studios, and that's a transmedia development company, and we do game engine animation as well. And we're kind of moving into the immersive space too. So my background's in live action production, and then during COVID, I started getting into transmedia podcasts and developing in different platforms and looking at new media like YouTube, TikTok, and Roblox and things like that, and working with our joint venture partners, Elevate Pictures, based in Ohio. And we had some ideas around animating in Unreal Engine in real time. So we could create like, I guess like in some ways a virtual puppet. So we, that you could kind of puppeteer with your own body and stuff like that. And we got some funding for that. And then that kind of, we slightly pivoted towards offering that as a service. And now that's kind of, we're out pitching for that a little bit, not here, but just in general.
Somewhere else.
Yeah.
Right. And what about Adventurverse Studios? Please tell us all the details about it.
Yeah, so Adventurverse Studios, that's like a joint venture between my company, Poster Wise Films, and Elevate Pictures in Ohio. So we're an Irish-based company, and that's the transmedia development stuff that we do there. So it's based. It started with original IP, and now we're doing a bit of service work, and then we have like a good bit of development funding from Screen Ireland. So we have like 3 feature films and 3 animated series in development. So.
And what actually inspired the creation of this company? Was it like a specific momentum, or you said, let's do it?
So it was really because to facilitate like the contracting around IP is, it's difficult, and it's quite, for the way we're trying to build it, which is transmedia across a bunch of stuff, and there's a real risk involved in like what will pay off and what won't pay off, and then to contract out for each specific deviation or derivative of the IP would just be too costly and prohibitively costly for us to move forward, and it would also put us into like it would put me as the creator into an unfair position where I wouldn't own it in the same way. So it just made a lot more sense for us to set up a company to house the IP, and then to basically build a business around the IP, which we're doing. And then also we started doing some service work around that as well.
All right. And what about Chimera? Can you walk us through it?
So Chimera is, when we first started working together, they had like this a rights management system, so that like if you had your own character, you could license that character to me in a real efficient way. So it was basically solving that problem that we had to set up the business for. And it was like, so you could take your character and bring it into Marvel, or you could bring it in over here, or I could write a character and it'd be easy to bring it into your world and then have that kind of move around. So it's like it was to when you're writing stuff, you create like a writer's Bible, and it builds up, and it in a certain way, it's like the architecture of your story work, like where things go. So we had this kind of blockchain version of that kind of made it open source and kind of easy for other people to tap into. But it started, like, the guy started seeing that it had like a lot more potential in other spaces. So like you can use it as a ticketing platform. So like you're coming here to Slush and you see all these talks and you have your ticket, and it can send you notifications on where to go, like, and have a QR code like that's just really streamlined, and you don't have to download an app. Like, it just kind of pops it in. And but then also it can make it easier for a speaker to sell his book or like whatever they're working on through the system. So, and then it also kind of, for you, as like if we're selling to you as a business, you get all that data as well, like in a very clean way. That's not kind of, you get the information that you want, not necessarily the information that people have, like, the identity and all that. Yeah.
And what key challenges are you facing while developing this?
I guess it's like it's a new way of looking at things for people, and like you're kind of coming into a lot of people have this, like, this system is set up already. Not this system, but systems of ticketing and stuff are already in place. So you're kind of looking to find a way in. Yeah, but it has other applications as well, like for the rights management. It's basically a rights management tool that has like a Web3 element to it as well, like where you can kind of be not Web3, like
Yeah. I definitely get it. And have you done any tests already? And how they turned out?
Yeah, really well. I haven't done the test. Like the partners have done the test. Like so, it's separate to Adventurverse.
You hold it
Sorry,
closer.
it's if I say it this way, you can't use it.
No, it's okay. You can just like hold it like that.
Yeah, no, it's like with my Elevate Pictures have that. That's
Yeah.
their thing, and we license it for a project that we're working on.
Right.
But we're not actively involved in the development of it or the implementation of it on their end. But that is the use case that they're using it on. We're working on HyperConnect as a project. But yeah.
Got it. Okay, so what about immersive media and interactive storytelling? Because you're an expert on this. So, could you tell us your opinion on what trends or new technologies are going to be developed in the next 5 years regarding this?
Expert might be pushing it now. I think like the augmentation is the key thing. Like the minute you put on a VR headset, it's the augmented version that really jumps out. Like, and I think when people are going to start innovating in that space, and that's going to get interesting. Like, because it's going to release us from our phones for one, which is good, and then like you're going to start seeing new implementations on user interface, because we don't necessarily want the recreation of a phone interface right here.
For sure.
So that'll be interesting. And then you're going to see like home decoration will become ugly in VR, and then it'll be nice, and then it'll be like it's good. I think there'll be really cool kind of augmented tools, and like a lot more information and everything. Like fridges will get more informative.
I mean, that's gonna be way cheaper. If suddenly one day I want to change my my wall in my room, right?
Yeah.
Or any experience. Do you think this leaves room for creativity and new experiences
Oh,
of
brilliant! Yeah, definitely.
experimentation and
Yeah, I think like
arts?
what you're going to start seeing is like it really depends on like so the way I look at it is that you have the Oculus or Meta are leading the way largely because it's quite cheap and teenagers love it, and those teenagers are going to grow up with it. So it's really about, I think the innovation will come in 5 years' time when you have people who have really grown up and lived in that space going, this is what I want this world to look like. It's kind of the same with Web 2.0. Like you had people who grew up in the forums going, the internet was cool, but I kind of want this version of it. So I think that's what we're going to get. Like that, that's going to be really exciting because they're going to be using this in a way that they're using it right now in a way that we've said, here's how you use it. We haven't seen how they actually want to use it, or we haven't given them the agency to be able to implement and innovate on it. So, yeah, I think that iteration is where real use case will jump out, and I don't know what that will be. I think it'd be cool.
I've never thought about that, but I mean, it's true. Gotta consider that. And something that just popped up in my head. What about from 100 years from now? Because do you think there's going to be a point in life where we'll won't distinguish between, or we'll prefer the immersive world rather than the real one? Because
I don't know. Like I had this really scary thought when my daughter was born about like how her generation is the first generation who will have a legitimate right to question what is reality, whereas like before the non-reality was in our imaginations, whereas now we can physically change, or not physically, but we can manipulate what we think is reality quite easily. So I don't know, and I think like in a hopeful sense, yeah, but in a non-hopeful way, like, or in a dystopian way, I think like that we're in a place where that question, like, so like if you look back at like into like say when I was growing up, like the we had like extras, like people were called extras, like, you know, to be like someone walking around in a grey suit to be background characters, like, you know, that kind of thing.
Definitely.
And then
I know.
now you have people that, like, in the same kind of vein, dismissing other people as NPCs and stuff like that. So it's like now in her generation, I think they'll be dismissing it as like analog reality or something like that. Like, you know, what is it? And I don't know. I think there's a lot of hope there, but there's also a lot of stuff that's very risky that we're taking reality for granted.
Talking future, where do you see yourself and your company in the next 5 years?
Next 5 years. Ugh. Yeah, I don't know, because like I've had that kind of thing of looking back on the last 5 years recently, and just because I was like, oh, I haven't gone anywhere, done anything, and all that. But yeah, no, it's complete. My life has completely changed in the last 5 years. So, and I would never have predicted I'd be doing what I'm doing now 5 years ago. So I don't know what I don't think I could honestly answer that. I hope it's something similar. I hope it's like more pushing stuff. Like, I hope we get the opportunity to kind of create something cool and push something somewhere and be a bit fun
And now
with it.
changing the perspective of the question, do you think the Dave from 5 years back would be proud of the Dave nowadays?
Jesus, why am I'm really crying. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, probably. I don't know. Never thought of that. Fuck you.
Oh God, that's beautiful.
Yeah, maybe. You have
I can see it, but I'm sorry. Don't worry.
Yeah.
You can take your time.
Turn off the camera.
But do you have any advice that you could give to any aspiring entrepreneurs and creatives in general, looking to break into the immersive media world?
I don't think that I'm qualified enough to say how, because we're still trying ourselves. Like, I think the immersive media space needs people to try and to keep trying. Like, I think it's grown, it's interesting, but I think like it's kind of siloed in a way, like where people inside it feel it's exciting and see what's happening, but a lot of people aren't really aware of how cool it is or even what's actually going on. Like, they have like, you know, very few people even know what ChatGPT is or how it works, even though for people like me, maybe you, it's my best friend now. It gets me through everything.
It is my bestie.
So yeah, it's there's probably like a good element of outreach and kind of moving things into a more status quo space that it probably needs to do. So it needs a lot of people to do that.
Right. But you gotta start somewhere.
Yeah.
You gotta start somewhere, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, Dave, so we've reached the last section of the episode. And here's the game. So first you're gonna have to answer a question from the previous guest.
Yeah.
And then you'll be the one posing the question for the next one.
Yeah.
Okay? So your question comes from Carolina Parnanen. She's actually the artistic director from SLUSH.
Oh, brilliant.
So it's great. And she's performing, she's at the DJ. She's performing in the after party today. Yeah,
nice.
Tonight.
Yeah.
So her question is, what has been your biggest lesson this 2024?
In 2024, I don't know. I feel like I learn it every year, but it's like just putting the head down, doing the work. Like isn't as tough as it sounds sometimes. Like, it's just especially when you care about it. Like, just get into it. Like, I think I have to kind of not push myself, but like remind myself that I do like it sometimes. Like, you know, it's like letting myself feel like it's work. Maybe not everyone feels that way, but for me, I've been kind of, you know, cognitively reminding myself that I do like what I do, which sounds like I don't like what I do.
All right, Dave. So what's your question for the next guest?
My question for the next guest, what has been the worst day of your life?
Oh, wow. That's a rough one.
No, like, I guess, like, what was like the most challenging?
We don't want to make people cry here in the podcast.
You made me cry. What was the toughest day? Like, what was the where like you're like, I can't do this anymore? And what made you not give up?
Yeah. gave it a good
Yeah.
turnaround.
Just cut the part where I rambled and then just go straight into that question.
Okay. I will.
Or the answer, I mean, sorry. Yeah.
Okay, so lastly,
Yeah.
do you have any fun facts that you'd like to share with us?
Fun facts
Fun fact.
about anything.
Anything. Yeah.
I'm drawing a blank. I'm really good at quizzes, because I know these facts things, but I can't think of anything right now. Well, actually, the best place to stand when you're networking is where people exit the bar. So not by the bar or by the door, but it's just after where people exit the bar.
Best bar to network.
Is that the best bar to network? Oh, I don't know.
No, that's what I understood.
But best part of where to stand.
The best.
The best place to position yourself when networking is right beside the bar.
Thank you very much for your
Oh, yeah,
time.
the clothes.
It was great. We had so much fun.
We laughed, we
had
cried.
we laughed, we cried. That's the best sign that something's going well.
Yeah, no, that was fun.
So thank you for your time and sharing your story and all these advices with us.
Deadly.
So, you're always welcome, even online.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we're pretty far.
Yeah.
But always welcome to come back. So thank you.
Deadly. You'll never see the end of me now. Cool. Thanks very much.
All right, Splatters, welcome once again to Efecto Cascada. Today we're here in SLUSH in Helsinki, 2024 edition, and we are joined by Mikko Martikainen. How are you?
Hello. Good, thank you.
Great. So Mikko is a creative tech entrepreneur with over 20 years of experience in VFX, gaming, animation, and interactive media. So he's been working in companies like The Mill, Epic Games, and has founded Sayduck, a 3D and AR company. So welcome, Mikko.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Could you please introduce yourself a bit to the audience?
Yes. Yeah. So my name is Mikko, and as Paula said, I kind of come from a visual effects background. So I did a lot of worked in a lot of 3D animation type of works, mainly advertising, some kind of bad films thrown in the mix as well, and then kind of since then been doing anything, I guess, kind of visually, like visual, interactive, game engine related kind of work, VR, AR, and linear content.
That's great. And what actually inspired you to get involved into this world of gaming and then animation? Was there a momentum?
Yeah, I think I studied computer science for around 6 months in the early 2000s before kind of then getting a job as a programmer. But I'd always, and prior to that, I had worked a little bit as a graphic designer, just flyers and things here in Finland. So I was always drawn into the kind of, I guess both creative and technical side of things. And then visual effects and gaming and interactive, that was kind of, for me, the perfect combination because it's inherently quite technical, but then the output is visual and you kind of you kind of get to flex both your technical and creative muscles.
It's great that, bringing both worlds together,
exactly.
You found your unique vision there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and actually you've worked in some incredible places all around the world, London, LA, for example, as well, New York. Have you found any, with these global experiences, have you found influence in your work?
Yeah, I think for me the biggest thing has been, so like most of my career I was based in London. Over the past 20 years I've been there 13. But I think for me, especially coming from Finland, which is a fairly small country, it's been in a way, and originally when I first moved to London, I think the kind of biggest eye-opening thing for me was that, from a perspective of, based here, especially in the kind of early 2000s when 3D animation was growing kind of worldwide, but Finland was really, there wasn't much happening here. It was a kind of going to London and working in kind of big studios there was a big kind of eye-opener that I was scared that, going, when I get there, everybody's going to be this superstar, 3D animator, and I know nothing. But I think, over the years, it's just like people are the same, no matter kind of where they are. Definitely. And I think, the skill sets they build with their careers, it doesn't really matter where you are. The kind of biggest difference is really the kind of budget of the work. And that has kind of dictated back then, at least, the output, the big Hollywood studios. Big Hollywood films obviously look better than small indie productions based in Finland. But now over the years, I think with the tech has advanced, AI is certainly coming, and it's really kind of leveling out that difference a lot. So
Yeah, amazing. All right, so Sayduck, it's your startup focused on 3D and AR. Could you please tell us a bit more about it?
Yeah, well, Sayduck, I mean, obviously, actually, it's not operating anymore. So Sayduck was, something we started 12 years ago. It was early, coming of augmented reality kind of tech. So we did a startup to allow people to visualize furniture in their homes before buying. Kind of, what everybody in IKEA and everybody is doing nowadays. But I think it was really good. Like we managed to get really good kind of brands abroad. I think what we never really cracked was the end user experience, because AR back then it was relying on physical printed paper markers. So the barrier to kind of get people to use it was quite high. And funnily enough, even now I think AR hasn't really become mainstream. You have the kind of face filters that are like social media driven stuff, and those are arguably mainstream. But anything kind of further than that doesn't really seem to have broken through. Don't know why. Maybe it's just the form factor of using it through mobile phones isn't really immersive enough, and then glasses haven't really managed to break through or become affordable or usable. But I mean, say that kind of then pivoted into more just kind of pure 3D, like a web-based 3D visualizer tools, and saw some success in that one, but even that wasn't unfortunately enough.
Well, it's fine. That it's interesting that you said there's room for improvement there, rather than mobile phones and filters. That's something very popular nowadays. There's it should be evolving along with technology, right? So do you think that defining the end user better would have worked for you?
Probably, yeah, because it was like now in retrospect it's easy to kind of find all these faults that we kind of did, but I think we when AR was new, it was really easy to kind of fall in love with the tech, and kind of like, because it demos really well. You show it, everybody go like, "Whoa, this is amazing," and then that kind of probably gives you a little bit of bias in your kind of product as well. So we were quite gung-ho about, of course we're going to use it because the reaction is like this, but then it's, the consumer is quite fickle.
All right, and Mikko, in which projects are you currently working?
So right now, the big one, the main one is my kind of new company called Spoonful, which we built as a Storyverse studio. So kind of transmedia storytelling. So the idea is that with a lot of audiences kind of being really fragmented, they don't really watch TV anymore, or like they do, but they their attention is kind of broken into mobile phones, games, TV, music, books, social media, everywhere. So our idea is to build an original entertainment IP, and then kind of formulate it as these kind of story verses. That's like a little kind of contained unit of stories that you can then extract little individual experiences that could be a little animated show in TikTok, or it could be a little game in Fortnite, or it could be maybe like a virtual graphic novel in Instagram or something like that.
Right, and I'm just curious, do you see this applying to the metaverse, for example?
Yeah, I mean, like being from kind of 3D background, I was quite gung-ho about the metaverse kind of bubble a couple of years ago. But I think this is exactly like that, but kind of taking like a step back and not being maybe so dogmatic about the metaverse being this kind of 3D virtual world. But it can be anything, it could be, physical world, it could be graphic novels, 3D, anything.
Right. And well, both gaming, AR, and 3D, as we were talking about, it's constantly evolving. Are you excited about any trends or technologies being applied to your field in the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah. I mean, the obvious answer is AI, or Gen AI, generative AI, which is both exciting and a little bit scary, I would say, because there's a lot of, I have a lot of old colleagues and friends who are quite well, like openly hostile to it, which is understandable because there's like ethical considerations of the training data and and copyright circumvention. But I think it's just a really like as a tool for creatives, it's a really compelling tech. How it actually then becomes usable, I don't know, but I think that's the main one. And game engines in general, like Unreal Engine is like every new release is like mind blowing, and there's so much stuff. So I think that's those two.
It's just crazy. For example, 2 years ago, ChatGPT was born. So
Yeah, exactly.
imagine from
Yeah.
5 years
Yeah,
from now, right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
But I agree. The creative part of humans, we should never lose it.
yeah, no, and I don't.
AI and technologies will always be
Yeah.
the ones encouraging that.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, I mean, especially with Gen AI, it doesn't like it won't write the next Shakespeare or the next Oscar film.
For
I don't
sure.
think. Yeah.
Yeah, it can seem like it, but never
Yeah.
had the actual
Yeah.
idea, right? Okay, so talking advices from a creative tech entrepreneur like you, what advice would you give to those aspiring to enter both the video game industry and, well, storytelling one, and make their projects a reality?
Yeah. I think it's just, I mean, this is kind of cliched, but just do it and just do a lot. Don't be overly precious about any particular idea. And that there was, this is like an AI quote, but I think it's really apt for people as well that, like tech is really good at doing stuff, but then I think it's Ben Affleck who said this, like tech, something in this, like I paraphrase, but like AI or tech is really good at kind of doing and kind of keep doing things, but artists know when to stop.
Oh,
And I think that's really like, it's
Right.
just, don't just do it, put it out there, see what people say. A lot of them people are not going to like or not going to see or kind of ignore. But without doing that, you won't really learn and develop. And then also like the creative industry is like taking feedback is knowing how to take feedback without taking it personally is a pretty big skill.
honestly, coming from a creative like you, I think that's really like honest, and that's true. It's a fact.
Yeah, yeah.
Because someone you need, sometimes you need someone by your side telling you what's
Yes.
right and what's wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because you kind
What's the
of become,
best for you?
yeah, you become blind to your own work, kind of thing.
Right, Mikko. So we've reached to the last part of the episode,
Sure.
and we have a tradition on the podcast. So first, you're gonna have to answer a question posed by the previous guest,
Yep.
and then you'll be the one, raising a question for the next one.
Yep.
Okay. So your question comes from Ioannis. He's taking part in an European Union project called XR to Learn, and his question is, "What's your favorite dish?"
My favorite dish.
Yeah.
Ah, I probably I, I make a pretty mean pasta bolognese. That recipe was taught by my father,
Whoa.
and I'm gonna plan
Nice.
on passing on to my son. I think that's probably like one of my big favorites.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And now, before you raise the question for the next one, do you have a fun fact about yourself?
Well, yeah, I'm. This is I'm a pretty avid motorcyclist, so I kind of ride a lot of motorcycles, and I
Nice.
try to do like one big trip every year. And this year I was riding around the Lapland, like Finnish Lapland, and on my way back I stopped in this one cafe, and I have photos to prove it. And I ran into Ewan McGregor and his friend Charlie Borman. They were riding in Finland. And it's just completely random, but yeah, that was my fanboy moment.
Wow. Admirable. Okay. And what's your question then?
I had in mind like something really deep, but then we're going to talk about dishes. But no, I think given the, I mean, this is a bit deep, maybe, but
Go ahead.
how would you kind of make sure that working in tech and VC funding and being kind of uber capitalistic thing, a lot of big VCs in the US and kind of throwing their weight behind one of the presidential candidates. How could you kind of make sure that tech won't lose its kind of inherent ability to do good and not just be about making money?
Yeah. With ethics,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
But let's
Yeah.
see what the next
Yeah.
year has in mind.
Yeah.
Okay, Mikko, so thank you very much
Thank you.
for taking your time spending
yeah.
with us in Efecto Cascada.
Great.
And it was a great pleasure to get to know all your story behind.
Great. Thank you very much. Yeah. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, so this brings us to the very end of this special episode of Efecto Cascada, coming all the way to you from SLUSH Helsinki 2024. So it's been an incredible experience exploring the exciting world of video games, immersive experiences, storytelling, all the collide together. So a big thank you to all our guests who have taken their time to share their amazing backgrounds with us. Right? So remember that this podcast is available on all streaming platforms, starting from YouTube all the way to Spotify and Amazon Podcasts. So make sure you hit that subscribe button so you won't miss the next story that may inspire your project, right? So until next time, explorers, let's keep captivating the fascinating world of innovation together. See you!